Greetings, everybody. Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So we're going to check out another two concept albums today. One being a Canadian band, and one being a band from the States. And the one is most definitely an influence on the other. So the first one we're going to look at is the band Rush, all the way from Canada, and the album 2112. So this album was meant to be a lot more record company friendly. Seeing as the previous album, Caress of Steel, didn't do that well and the record company weren't very happy and they were actually ready to drop Rush from the label, if they didn't conform and bring out hit singles and what have you. You know what record companies are like. But Rush thought, stuff you, we're going to do even more of a sort of a unobtainable album for the masses, if you like, and they brought out this concept album. But in fact, it paid off. The gamble paid off. This became one of their big hits, big hit albums, and a lot of these tracks were played right up until the end of their career. So what is the concept? Basically, it's about individuality and creativity, and in this story, those two things are outlawed by the priests who reside in the temple of Syrinx. Excuse me. So, music has been outlawed as well. And then there's a guy by the name of, I can't get his name here, but there's a young guy who finds an old guitar and he starts to play and he discovers music again. And this is this wonderful thing. And how that sort of wins out in the end. So that's pretty much the story, the concept behind 2112 on the first side of the album in any case. So you get 2112, which is a total time of 20 minutes and 34 seconds. So it breaks down into Overture, The Temples of Syrinx, Discovery, Presentation, Oracle, The Dream, Soliloquy, Grand Finale. And then on side 2, you got a Passage to Bangkok, which according to Geddy Lee is pretty much a song about weed, about the best dope you can find around the world, which I wasn't aware of. The Twilight Zone, Lessons, Tears, and Something for Nothing. So this album, produced by Terry Brown. Now, Terry Brown was the producer of Rush, I think right up until Permanent Waves, or perhaps Power Windows. I'm trying to think which album. I think it was Permanent Waves, and then they went on to other producers. But he produced all the early albums, including this one. And I must say the production of this album was really fantastic. Expert musicianship as usual. Neil Peart, the late Neil Peart on drums and percussion. Geddy Lee on bass and vocals. And Alex Lifeson on guitar. All very unique musicians. I think the one thing about early Rush, which put a lot of people off, were Geddy's vocals. Very high-pitched. And if I got used to it and I quite enjoyed it. But if it's not your bag, it can get a bit irritating. Mastered at Masterdisc. I'm trying to think. This is not the deluxe version. There has been a few re-releases of this album. This is just your bog standard sort of CD release. I'd love to get the vinyl actually, because this is made for vinyl. So during this period, they were having a few wardrobe issues, for me in any case, but I suppose it was the time, and they were wearing these rather strange outfits. Yeah, Neil Peart with his moustache there. Very 70s, Alex Lifeson looking very strange, and Geddy Lee over there on that side. So that's Geddy, that's Neil, and that's Alex on the other side. So, I mean, it was the time, I suppose, and not the best look, I don't think. So there's a series of DVDs that came out about the making of albums called Classic Albums. And there's one for 2112 as well as Moving Pictures. That's the two that they chat about. So if you want to hear a bit more about the album and the way it was recorded and the concept and how the songs progressed and the writing and all the rest of it. Of course, Neil Peart was the main lyricist with Rush. So for this album, it's pretty much his baby, as it was for a lot of Rush's writing. In fact, almost all of it, I think. And the rest of the band all did the music, obviously. But this is quite interesting. There's interviews with all three of them. And yeah, very interesting. So that's the first one, Rush 2112. Like I said, an essential Rush album if you're looking for sort of the early Rush. But like I said, beware of those vocals. Then we move on to a band from Seattle, Queensryche. And this was their sort of magnum opus. They'd made a few albums before this, but this was definitely their sort of standout album. There was actually a Queensryche Operation Mindcrime 2, which came out much later. Had a few guest artists as well. I think Ronnie James Dio was part of it. Didn't do as well as this album. You know, sometimes those sequel things don't always work. And I think this should rather have been a standalone. But anyway, that's just my opinion. There's the back with the song titles. And this is very much an 80s album. See by the hairstyles. There's Jeff Tate, the singer for the band. No longer with the band, obviously. They're still going, but not without Jeff Tate. And there's the rest of the guys. So, what else can I show you? Oh, there's just the lyrics at the back there. Very interesting lyrics. And who else was in the band? Let me just see if I can tell you. This is all very upside down and sideways. Jeff Tate, voices, keyboards, whistles, and blurbs. Chris DeJarmo, electric, 6-string acoustic, 12 and 6-string, lap steel, and GK1 synth guitars. Michael Wilton, he's the other guitarist, electric 6-string acoustic, 12 and 6-string and stereo. Ripley guitars, Eddie Jackson on bass guitars. Scott Rockenfield on drums and percussion, and he also does keyboards on Electric Requiem. Really good drummer as well, Scott Rockenfield. I'm not sure how many of these guys are still in the band. Obviously, Jeff Tate's not there, and I think one or two of the others aren't in the band anymore either, but they are still a going concern. So the tracks on here, basically, let me tell you about the concept first. It's a story of a guy called Nicky, who's a drug addict who becomes part of a revolutionary group and ends up as an assassin of political leaders. Yeah. I sometimes find, with concept albums, it's pretty much what you want to make of it sometimes. Although with these two albums, there is obviously a narrative, which is an essential story kind of thing, which is, but even there you can still move it around a bit in your own mind. Sometimes concepts work, sometimes they don't. But this one definitely worked for this band, and a lot of these tracks, I think, to this day are played. I Remember Now, which starts off with that guy chatting, as obviously Nicky, having a flashback, and then it goes into Anarchy X. This is a heavy album, but not, it's progressive rock, so it's not Black Sabbath heavy. It's there's bits of Maiden in this you can hear. My favorite track, Revolution Calling. The title track, Operation Mindcrime, Speak, Spreading the Disease, and The Mission. That's on side 1. Side 2, Sweet Sister Mary. Really interesting lyrics. Quite a long track that's 10 minutes and 41 seconds. The Needle Lies, Electric Requiem, Breaking the Silence, I Don't Believe in Love, which is also, I think this was also a hit off the album, I Don't Believe in Love. Sorry with all this water drinking, but I've got a bit of a sore throat this morning. Waiting for 22, My Empty Room, and Eyes of a Stranger. That's the other hit off here. Really cool track. A very melodic album as well. Great lyrics. I think Jeff Tate was the main songwriter here. Produced by Peter Collins. Peter Collins was also a producer for Rush. He came after Terry Brown, and I think these guys were kind of fans of Rush, and they were very happy with what he did with the Rush stuff, so they thought, hang on, let's get him in for an album, and boy, it certainly worked. So that's the second one, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime. Prior to this, they did make a few albums, but it was just sort of progressive metal, and there wasn't really a concept to it. But this one was definitely a concept album. There we go, another 2 concepts for you. I'll carry on looking at a few next time, and then we'll go on to something else. And yeah, if you haven't done so yet, please down below, subscribe, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, or thumbs down if you didn't. Any comments, more than welcome, please. And yeah, take it easy out there. It's a stunning day in Cape Town today. I think it's in the mid-20s. Blue skies, birds are singing, and the rock music is playing. I'll catch you soon. Take it easy. Bye-bye.